Hey Virgo, this is an astrological report for the month of June 2025, and the month starts out with a South Node in your first house, and it will be there for another year. And that means the eclipses are hitting your first and your seventh houses, which means there's a lot of shifting going on in your relationship and self, between the self and your relationships. But with the South Node in your first house, you're really releasing old patterns of being, old ways of operating in your life, and you're really changing in a way, you could say, your identity and becoming more an authentic version of yourself, stepping more into your, I would say, with the North Node in your seventh house in the sign of in the sign of Pisces, you're moving more towards seeking spiritual connections and following your soul's fulfilling path rather than controlling. It's almost like you're more on a seeking journey now, seeking a higher consciousness destiny rather than trying to sort of manipulate and control your circumstances. You're ready to stretch. Let's put it this way. You're stretching out. You're leaving the castle and going out into the jungle this year. So let's go ahead and share the charts for some other interesting things to talk about for Virgo in the month of June 2025. So the big thing that's happening is we have Aries Saturn just moved into your eighth house, out of your seventh house where it's been for about 2.5 to 3 years, restructuring your relationships, but also clearing karma around relationships and shall we say attachment issues with relationships, or really going through transformations and discovering what a spiritual relationship is rather than a material relationship. But and it can involve contract agreements as well, law cases and things like that, which what might have been showing up. But now with Saturn in your eighth house, you're restructuring your finances. And if you are married and already in a connection, oftentimes with Saturn transiting the eighth, your partner is not working, or they are retired, or their income is blocked and not coming in. So with Saturn in the eighth house, there is a good chance you're having to restructure and be the breadwinner and develop a new. It's you're like, if you have Saturn in the eighth house, what you're doing is you're restructuring your investments in your portfolio. So maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be about work, or it can be a job. It could be aspecting your chart in other ways, which means that there is a shift in your work, but but the main financial independence and the main work that Saturn wants to do in your life is to create financial structure and stability around taxes, inheritance, income from non-working sources, income from other sources. So you could be developing or you might be structuring a retirement portfolio, retirement plan with that. Or you could be buying a property with Sagittarius over your fourth house with that full moon coming in, you're moving and changing property and you get a 29-year loan. But this is where we're looking at a very serious restructuring of a financial portfolio. When I had Saturn in the eighth house, I was spending a lot of money on a invested property, increased my debt, but it gave me investments that sustained me for a really long time, like a retirement investment. So that's the kind of thing that happens with Saturn in your eighth house and in the sign of Aries at 0 degrees. This is a huge new cycle. This is going to help stabilize your financial stability for 29 to 30 years. This is a 30-year cycle here, 29 to 30-year cycle. And don't forget, Jupiter blocks. Jupiter's going to move into your 11th house in the sign of Cancer, which is going to be fantastic. It's a very abundant energy there in Cancer in the 11th house, meeting very good new friends, new connections that potentially really expand your finances, opportunities, networking, socializing, clients, very much good time socializing and meeting new people, new tribe. Um, but it will be squaring Saturn. So it's very possible that something happens in this 11th house that is a big part of these new beginnings. That has to be adjustments. Adjustments have to be made, so that you're on your true dharmic. Jupiter's going to make sure you're on. Jupiter's putting you on your dharmic path in the Cancer. Like the doors are going to open up because Jupiter is sextiling Venus as it goes there in your ninth house, all about dharma. So some sort of calling and purpose, your path opens up there in the 11th house through social media, networking, meeting people, new tribe, and then it's squaring Saturn in the eighth. So there's some sort of financial limitation to some sort of advancement. Like, for instance, let's give an example. Um, um, you want to let's see, some sort of social media, you want to join a group or become a part of some sort of venture group, and you have to restructure your finances so that you can, I can't even think of an example. Let me think of a better example here for a minute. Um, with it squaring. Maybe here's an example. You want to retire, you want to take on some other adventure or humanitarian effort, because the 11th house is a humanitarian mission or your dharma, and you have to restructure your finances so it can support that. That's a good, you refinance a property so that you can invest in something else. Or you start to really put a lot of energy into a social media publicity, and you have to invest in it in some way, or investment, because sometimes you want to make some kind of investment like Bitcoin or some sort of new age of Aquarius type investments in the new monies, but you've got to restructure your finances, liquidate some of your 401ks in order to make this investment so that you have a really stable. So you're really shifting your finances around to really create rock solid. There's new opportunities of new investments, because this is 0 degrees. We're really looking at a lot of changes. So there could be some new ways and new types of things to invest in that open up, that you then decide to do that, which then really expands, because we're looking at a fire trine. These fire energies are causing a lot of abundance with the Mars, Aries connection. Um, they're not making a connection, but we have fire. We have got Mars firing up the firehouse, Leo. We've got Saturn and Neptune firing up the fire houses. So there's this, all the fire houses are sort of charged. Then we're going to have a full moon in the fourth house, again, creating this beautiful charged energy in all the firehouses, which is all about the truth, going your true destiny, living your true purpose. And with Venus going into your Dharma house, again, there's some sort of abundant luxury support, sextiling Jupiter, which rules the Sagittarius full moon. So some sort of, that could be very much romantic travel. Venus there, traveling with a romantic partner. Mars in your 12th house, again, Leo, could create passionate travel with a relationship. I hope I didn't jump around here. I got to Jupiter moving. We talked about Venus in your ninth house, which is, if it's not romantic travel, it's finding a lot of pleasure and joy in other cultural foods and other, shall we say, a spa, or treating yourself very, very well, and spending time in spiritual sort of off-duty energies, meditating and but it is a romantic energy and it is very stable. So there's a good chance that this is a romantic liaison involving travel or, vacation. And then we do have Venus is going to meet Uranus at the end of the month, which is going to be a surprise shift of destiny, because that is going to, it doesn't necessarily mean a shift of destiny, but there's a surprise, potentially financially abundant, um, relationship related expansive finances, like a co-collaborative, buying a property together or selling a property with somebody, or traveling, or I already said that, but some kind of good surprise proposal, that kind of a thing. Like if this is a later in life marriage, or if you're already in a relationship, your spouse surprises you with a beautiful gift or a beautiful vacation, something really nice happens there. And then don't forget, Jupiter and Mercury are going to conjoin here let's go back to Leo on the ascendant. Oh no, we're on Virgo. So Jupiter and Mercury are going to connect here at the end degree point on the 6th here this week. And that is squaring the Saturn. So this could be disruptive. This is the kind of information or news where you quit a job, or you find something out that makes you change your mind about a job, or it could be kind of bad news. It could be disruptive news. But again, it's so that it frees you up so that you can go more onto your dharmic path. So whatever happens with that square, but it is also sextiling Chiron and Venus. So there is some sort of liberating quality to it. Like if it is bad news, it's you're free of it. So you're like, oh, okay. Like let's say worst case scenario, that is a job getting squared. In other words, a job quitting or getting fired. It's you're going to be happier. It's like, okay, it's great. A better situation will definitely come in with Jupiter moving into your 11th because the 11th house is a very lucky house. Dreams come true. Jupiter is about long-term goals as well, and the 11th house is long-term goals. So some sort of dream is going to come true here anyway. So whatever negative happens, you're ruled by Mercury, so you are going to feel this transit of Jupiter Mercury. It's like a big racing head, I mean racing mind, a lot of nervous energy and perhaps some sort of crisis. It's at the 29-degree point that has to be dealt with. It's hitting your other money house. So some sort of financial crisis could show up. But again, this motivates you to create some sort of stability in your finance here in the eighth, in the long-term range. So then where are we? We've got this full moon in Sagittarius, which will be your fourth house, which is a very good chance that this because of that eighth house, it's possible you sell a house and you get some money, which then sets you on and liberates you to take a dharmic path. But the fourth house is a liberating spiritual house. There's some form of liberation, some sort of reveal, because the full moon reveals a truth. Like, for instance, the full moon will reveal that you aren't happy where you're living and you want to move, you want to travel, you want to up and move, basically. But the full moon there will give you a clear, because it's squaring the nodes this full moon. I can get to it. I'm going to do a report on this full moon on tomorrow on Karmic Kindness Live. So do join there and do ask questions. We love it when people do that. It's at noon tomorrow, Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, so on June 11th, this full moon hits in your fourth house. And don't forget Cancer, Jupiter is also a family energy. So, and then with this full moon in your fourth house and Jupiter rules Sagittarius, I mean, there's a good chance you're moving. You meet some new people and you move or you travel or you shift your, you shift your you relocate. That's a relocating full moon. And then also perhaps status changes. If you're not in a relationship, this is definitely potentially a relationship coming in, but definitely family shifting home security, long-term security opportunity comes in. But again, if it could be just like a property sale, and it liberates you to travel or something. Or you see who your true family are. You connect with your true family. It's like a coming home full moon, but a travel energy. Sagittarius is travel. So it's kind of an interesting place to have a Sagittarius full moon. Um, so then we're going to see the sun is going to, Mars is going to move into your first house. So then you're going to be looking at a 2-year Mars cycle with Mars in your first house. So you're going to feel this is going to and that happens on the 17th. So that's going to be before the new moon. So there's definitely an interesting because the new moon's going to be in your 12th house in Cancer there. So I'm sorry, in your 11th house. So you're going to be feeling like taking some new beginnings and being busy and being very proactive and perhaps exercising a lot or being very Mars is a very busy energy in Virgo, practical, working hard on details, dealing with like organizing, building like Mars Virgo is very much like going around the house. What is the word? Handyman stuff, like, little detailed stuff, like fixing little things and preparing and organizing and setting yourself up for leaving or packing or organizing because of all that 12th, that Sagittarius travel energy could happen. Or you're just redeveloping your home and that full moon could be just fixing the home up too. With that Mars in your first house and the full moon in your fourth, you could be putting a lot of energy and detail into your property and home, um, or planning to sell it down the line and taking care of it. Or you're going to live there and you're adding to it, you're expanding your property. But then we've got that new moon in your 11th house, which is fabulous. New moons in the 11th house, you usually you make a new connection, you meet a new group of tribes, you become a part of a new group. You discover some part of some part of a dream or a long-term goal or something you've been always wanting suddenly starts to maybe happen. There's like a new opportunity opens up. It's a very lucky full a new moon in the 11th. And in with Jupiter in exaltation, it's very abundant. Things expand, money. This full moon will, first of all, it's a Dharma full moon, so it's putting you on your dharmic path. Furthermore, it's a new beginning that's dharmic, right? Because Jupiter's there. And Jupiter's going to turn your 11th house. He's going to send you onto your dharmic path there. So this new moon is very much about that. So there's some sort of new auspicious beginning that's a part of some sort of long-term goal or dream that you've been wanting for a long time now starts to sort of happen. The seeds, the sprouts are occurring. There's a helicopter going by. So there's movement, things changing and shifting here in a big way. All the outer planets are changing this month. People's lives are the whole world is shifting big this year because all the planets are shifting signs. So big changes coming ahead here. New beginning, new moon Cancer is going to be a big part of these new beginnings because it's this new moon is very close to Jupiter. It's actually technically kind of on Jupiter. So you've got this beautiful new beginning and a fantastic lucky house where a dream comes true. And Neptune also being in your eighth house again is we're reaching some sort of new paradigm, new dream. We're reaching to a completely higher level of life experience because we've all come out of a really tough karmic clearing cycle for 30 years, and now we're at the top. We're ascending. We're entering ascension now, where we get to experience the joy of that struggle, the rewards of that process of clearing, and now we're starting over with a clean slate with that Saturn in 0 degrees of Aries at the first sign of the zodiac. So thank you, Virgo, for watching. I hope this was informative and helpful, and do like and subscribe and leave a comment or ask a question if you like. And if you would like a personal reading, feel free to check out my website, soullevels.com, and have an absolutely wonderful month. Namaste.